Hello and a very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you. I'm Mrs. Shweta Batra and I'll be taking you through the session on Understand Left-handedness. Our guest today is Mr. Bipin Chandra Chogle. Mr. Chogle is a BSc Physics MA in Sociology. He holds a diploma in Journalism and Information Technology. Mr. Bipin Chandra is a filmmaker and owner of media company called Ambi Creations. He is a media teacher and also delivers lectures on topics like film direction, anchoring, and other media subjects at various institutes. Previously, Mr. Chogle had been the producer of the famous education program Bal Chitravani for 28 years. Sir is a research fellow at EMRC University of Pune and has also been a news reader at Akashvani Pune. Sir has directed and produced a Hindi serial, several documentaries, video stories, corporate and social films for various Indian and international clients. Mr. Bipin Chandra is the founder president of the Association of Left-handers, which was founded in 1991 and has been involved in the work related to handedness. Sir conducts lectures, workshops, and counseling sessions for parents, teachers, students, and adults, and also organizes meetings, seminars, and topics related to handedness and cerebral dominance. He is into guiding and encouraging the designing of gadgets and implements for left-handers. He is also guiding and encouraging. He has also conducted surveys and research projects on topics like handedness assessment, problems and advantages for left-handers, cerebral dominance, and education. Sir has been working towards awareness through media like radio, television, film, print, and internet about handedness and related topics. Further, Sir is also the regional coordinator of Handedness Research Institute, Indiana University, USA, and he coordinates and conducts research and various other related activities of handedness. He is the recipient of numerous awards. To name a few, he has received the National Award, that is a Special Jury Award as producer of educational programs and Best Team Trophy for Vasanta Kali Gharukulu. Special mention of Jury Award and Best Team Trophy Award for Lak Sangakaji. Besides this, he has received Plan India Impact Award 2021 and Ladvi Media and Advertising Award 2021. Sir has been invited by International Wildlife Film Festival, Bristol, UK, in Munich Children's Television Festival, Germany 2000, to participate and be a jury. Sir, a warm welcome to you. And it is indeed a matter of great honor to have you on board and interact with us today on the topic of Understand Left-handedness. This is for the viewers.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. This is for the viewers that this is going to be an interactive session, and we insist that you put across your questions so that all of us gain an insight and awareness about the topic. We request you to raise your hand, and when we shall just call your name out, you can unmute your mic and you can talk. So thank you so much, sir, for being here, sir. A warm welcome to you.
Pleasure. Thank you to Vidyadan, to Mr. Prashant, and ma'am you to introduce me at such a length. I don't know whether I can keep up to my whatever reputation, and I will try my best to answer all of your questions. And I'm really looking forward to this session. And other than the participants in Zoom meeting, I request the YouTube participants also to drop a question or a query in the chat box, which can be taken on the Zoom, so we can address to a larger audience. Thank you very much.
So wonderful. I mean, this is something which is really taking my interest a lot. And I want to first understand, sir, that of course, that's the very first question that will come to mind. Are you a left-handed person first? And how come this topic caught your interest to such a great level? Yes,
I'm myself a left-hander. Since my early childhood, I have been noticing that something is different with me. Sometimes people bring it to notice, and sometimes you yourself kind of experience that something is not right in the sense of the arrangements, places, things, appliances, and an array of things. And I didn't know what is going wrong, but when people pointed out to me that I am a left-hander, I started maybe very, discreetly or very at the back of my mind thinking about it. but I didn't know what to do about it. Around my age of 30 or so, I met one of my friends, Mr. Uday Pense, and came to know that he is also a left-hander. And we, struck a dialogue, a kind of a conversation, which kind of brought to our understanding that there's so much common about being a left-hander, and we need to do something about it. And that's how we decided to bring some friends together and discuss about it. And when around 10, 12 people, like-minded people came together, most of them were left-handers, one or two were parents of left-handers, that we decided to start this association in 1991. And since then, we have been working into this field of left-handedness, and actually not just left-handedness, we are working in the field of handedness. That means it is right-handedness also, left-handedness, of course. Then there are other categories like mixed-handed and other things, which we might discuss later. So this is how it has started, and it's been going on since then. Your voice is not coming. Your mic is mute.
Yeah, that's a wonderful journey, I think, and a little bit of experience that I have seen obviously on screen, and everybody knows about the person I'm talking about. Left-handedness is there. There's ambidextrous, I guess they call them to be. But what I understand, a little bit what I know about is that by the time the child is almost 2, he begins to use his hand for probably writing or coloring and things like that. So, I mean, he may use his right hand or left hand, but at that point in time, it's not very certain. But I'm told that by the age the child is 3, he has decided which hand he is using. Now, I want to understand is that does it make any kind of a difference if a child who predominantly uses his left hand in the very infancy stage or early childhood, and then comes to the right hand and is living as a right-hander? Does that bring any sort of a change or any remarkable reason for it? We would want to gain an understanding to that.
There is a long answer and there is a short answer. The short answer is no, absolutely not. The child can choose whichever hand he or she wants to use at any stage of life, as long as the act or the activity that he or she is trying is comfortable and doesn't require too much of practice. But the long answer is handedness is not this or that. It is not a polarized kind of a thing. What I mean is, you are not extreme left-hander that you cannot use your right hand for anything, and you are not extreme right-hander that you cannot use your left hand for anything. For majority of people, only a very minor percentage of population is that way, extremely polarized, where one hand is almost defunct. But majority of us lie between these two extremities of the spectrum, and that point varies from person to person. Some people are 80% right-handers, 20% left-handers. Some people are 60, 40, 40, 60, and it varies from person to person. It actually depends on the functioning of our brain, and which has 2 separate sections, left and right. And one of them is dominant and the other is not so dominant. And they too have different functions to perform in our life. And that's how a child starts developing its handedness. So around 2, as you said, the child kind of starts using one hand more specifically than the other. But it doesn't mean that the other hand is absolutely not used. Child can practice or try it out, trial and error, as we say, and decide which hand is better for which activity. It doesn't mean that it cannot use, if it uses right hand for writing, it cannot use left hand for eating. That is possible, and that's exactly what we are trying to promote among parents and teachers, that not to force any child, what I mean, please mind you, right-hander, left-hander, mixed-hander, to force to use one particular hand for any activity. So just leave the child on its own, let it find out which hand is better for which activity, let it get some grip on that activity and develop it. If the child needs some help, You can definitely do that. How to do that is, of course, another matter. But leave the child loose and just teach the child only one thing, and that's important thing: keep both the hands clean, hygienic. That's all.
Okay, so that's the main thing. So basically, your advising is that one should not drive the child, let the child be self-driven to whatever his priorities or his comfort levels are. Now, in the
Correct.
initial stages, you just said that you found something different, or you had like-minded people who had had such experiences. Could you throw some light on what were those kind of experiences or the differences that you had to come to notice, or the the impediments that you faced, as you said in the beginning? We could like to have a little bit of insight onto that.
Sure. Actually, if there are, I mean, obviously in today's audience, there will be majority left-handers, and who would definitely kind of agree to what I'm saying, and they definitely might have gone through similar experiences. First and foremost, anything that you use, appliance, a simple gadget, whatever in the childhood that you are using, simple thing like a pencil sharpener. You cannot use the pencil sharpener the way a right-hander can use, and you find it very difficult to sharpen a pencil. Secondly, a pair of scissors. The pair of scissors is, though it looks very harmless and very kind of a simple thing, it is designed exclusively for right-handed use, and a left-hander is really gets pains when using a scissor. That's one thing, and you don't understand why I cannot use it as another person is using. And many a times the scolding is given to the left-hander. Can't you use a simple thing like a scissor? Can't you do this? Can't you do that? This is the first thing that a left-hander goes through. The next thing is writing. Almost or majority of our world languages go from left to right. And you can understand that when a right-hander writes it, it is very easy kind of a flow to push your hand from left to right, because it opens the kind of, and you can see what you're writing, and your hand, all the joints are very comfortable going from nearer to your body to farther to your body. Whereas when your left-hander writes, he or she has to start. When I say he, it's always also includes she as well. Thank you. Starts away from the body and tries to bring the hand closer to your body, for which he needs to shift the hand several times. He cannot see what he is writing because it gets hidden behind his hand, and sometimes the line goes skewed, and it is very difficult. Sometimes the handwriting gets smudged. These are the basic things. And people often bring to your notice that you are a left-hander in a positive or a negative way. Like if you're just writing, somebody would come and say, oh, are you a left-hander? You must be very creative. You must be very intelligent. Your handwriting must be good. That's a positive aspect, but not all these things are true with every left-hander. Not every left-hander is a creative. Not every left-hander has a good handwriting, and not every left-hander is intelligent. Intelligence in the sense super intelligent. And another thing is, when you put your left hand forward for something like taking prasad or doing some puja or ritual or things, oh, no, not this hand. Use that hand. This is not auspicious hand. So all these experiences accumulate in your brain and kind of bring a huge kind of confusion, and that carries on and on and on. And you try to correct yourself. You try to think that something is wrong with you, so you should conform. You should kind of follow what the whole world or the majority is doing. That is the way and every left-hander goes through.
There is a lot of things that you just said, and probably we all must have wrong somewhere the other, not knowing how much of impact we are laying on people's social, emotional, physical being. So I think, yes, it's very it has always been said that think before you leap or think before you speak. So I think this is something which is more underlined right now, at least, and I'm sure it in the viewers' minds, that it's extremely important than making just casual statements. It's always better to think, because we do not actually know even the smallest of things that could be probably laying a huge impact on someone. So that's one thing. Yes, now we would want to come to the audience and try to understand if there's somebody who's willing to put forward a question. Can you unmute? You
Yeah.
can unmute and you can put forward. I also put on your cameras and come forward, and you can definitely share your, ideas and put it forward, and we could have sir's
Yeah.
insights on it.
Who is asking the question?
Because no one is aware right now. Otherwise, I'll have to ask the names. Should we have Pavitran coming up for the question?
Is left-hand genetic?
Please
Can you
repeat again.
repeat, child?
Please repeat, please. Akshobhya.
Is left-hand
Sorry, no, I didn't get it. Your mic is mute. Your mic is mute.
is left-hand genetic?
Genetic. Okay, that's a good question. See, people, now I will first come to a bit of handedness again. I explained to you about the brains, but give me some time. We have two sides of our brains, left side and the right side. The thing is, funny thing about our body is that the left side of the brain is connected with the right side of our body, and the right side of our brain is connected with the left side of the body, and they control that sides of the bodies, opposite sides of the bodies. In majority of people, the left side of the brain is stronger since birth, or it develops, before birth also. And that's why majority of people become right-handers. Very few people have right brain dominance, as we call it, or right brain stronger. And that's how we become left-handers. Now, the only odd part is this is not 50-50. Doesn't meaning out of 100 people, 50 people are left-handers and 50 people are right-handers. But the thing is, only 10 to 12% or 8 to 12% people are left-handers, and majority of people are right-handers. That is why if it had been 50-50, no one would have bothered to think about it, because it's kind of common, natural. But because left-handedness is in very, very less percentage, very, very minor thing, people started thinking about it, researching about it, and there are various, findings or kind of conclusions scientists have made. One of them is having a genetic or a hereditary kind of a lineage. That means they say that some genes or one of the genes is, responsible for left-handedness. That is one aspect. Then there is another theory that due to birth, there is some birth-related issues or chemical issues, trauma issues or other issues. Some people become left-handers, and some other people become, majority people become right-handers. And there is a third view, or there are many other speculations also, that because of the mother's, before birth and during birth and after birth situation, or kind of her own handedness or her own behavior, child can become right or left-handed. Can you give me just 1 minute, 1 second? I'm just coming back. Yeah, excuse me. Sorry for that. I'm back. So hope I have answered your query. So genetic factor is there, but scientists are still researching. Maybe last 50 to 60 years, the research about handedness is going on, and still scientists have not come to one single point or one single conclusion that yes, due to this, people become left-handed. No, there are various factors. And sometimes one factor is applicable to one person and the other factor is applicable to the other person. Thank you.
Indeed, that gives us a clarity to a great extent, because sometimes we do see, yes, that it runs in the family. Probably the mother or the father or the grandparents have been left-handers, and then it runs into the child or the grandchild. So that is, of course, therefore, but that could not probably be the reason.
No, because I want to come to that. See, right-handedness also runs into families.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
We don't,
but as
we
you
don't
said,
observe that. We don't see
yes,
that. Because right-handedness is considered to be normal
very
and
true.
left-handedness is considered to be little not normal. I wouldn't call it abnormal, but not normal. So we observe that.
That
And
idea is,
so-
yeah, because probably it is, which as is the very fortunate few small population who have that. And I have a couple of friends who are left-handed, and by virtue of their this thing, they are all great artists.
Oh,
They draw
really?
very well.
Great.
And I'm a right-hander where I cannot draw a straight line straight. I have to say this is a straight line. So that's how it goes. So that's how it goes. And yes, that's how there are few influences, because as you said, they are the, fortunate few, I would want to call them, that they have certain aspects which stand out. Like if I have read through your, piece of body of work, I think it's been exemplary. I have not seen somebody doing so much of work in such a different and a very creative zone. So it's an exemplary thing, probably.
Yeah,
So
but
I
you will find hundreds of right-handers also in kind of.
I
doing
think
similar things.
sometimes I realize that left-handers don't want to take credit for the good work they do.
Not at all.
Probably
I mean,
that's
what-
one thing.
You can say that considering the small percentage, left people or left-handers doing good things in life is more. That way we can definitely compare. I wouldn't
Okay.
say that left-handers are better than right-handers or they are
No,
above or superior to. No, that would be a kind of a fallacy. That could be a wrong.
aggravated statement.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we have someone from the audience who would be coming up with their next question? Thank you, child, for giving that question.
Yeah, thank you. Nice question, Akshobhya.
I want to ask another question.
Please.
I am a right-hander. What is good about left-handers?
What is what?
I am a right-hander. What is good about left-hander?
Basically, I would say there is nothing bad about left-handers. And that's the best good thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, see, good and bad is a very, very kind of broad term. So left-handers are normal. Left-handers are natural like right-handers. Left-handers are better sportsmen. Left-handers, as ma'am said, could be, I'm really, really very, delicately saying this, better artists. But not all left-handers are artists. And left-handers try to fight adversities better. Left-handers have better understanding of both sides of the functioning of the brain, or rather control of both sides of the brain. That means they are good in linguistics also, and they are good into non-verbal communication also. Because I will give an example of right-handers tend to use only the right side of the body more, so that they develop only the left side of the brain more. And the functions of the right side of the brain are left a little dormant, little behind the, kind of functioning capabilities. But whereas left-handers always need to use both their hands, left hand for their natural ability and right hand because there are certain things, most of the things around which are designed for right-hander. So that's how both the sides of their brains start functioning well and they communicate well. There is a connection between these two sides of the brain, which is, I'm not going into scientific details because they are small children also. It is called as corpus callosum, which is a bunch of nerve fibers. And that is a little thicker in left-handers. And that being a little thicker, it communicates better between the two sides of the brain. And that's the way left-handers can perform better in many activities requiring both sides of the brain. That is good. I can go on and on, but I think for now this is enough, right? Hope I have answered
Yes.
you, Akshobhya.
Yes, sir.
Now let's
Thank
give
you.
chance to someone else to ask.
Some Mr. Hitesh is waiting for asking a question.
Yes, Mr.
Can you
Hitesh.
come on board, Mr. Hitesh?
Your voice is not coming, Hitesh. You unmute, but still you're mute. You're mute. No, you unmute, I think. Then this volume is low. Hello? No, we have lost you, I think now. No, not at all.
Mr. Hitesh has raised his hand, but I think he's unable. You can type the question in the chat box and
Yeah, and
probably I'll get it
ma'am
from
can
there.
take it. Yeah. So
From
till
there,
then,
I
can
can
we
take
ask
it.
somebody else?
I think in the meanwhile, I'll put forward one question. You just mentioned that
Two
sportsmen
participants have raised their hand. I
right
saw
now,
it in the
Amol is asking, while having food or doing work, are left-handed hand clashes with the right hand of the person sitting beside us.
So
So
how can we avoid such
such
situation?
situations?
Okay. So the only thing you can do, and this is not happening only while eating, this happens daily in classrooms. Just yesterday, I was in a class giving information about handedness, and I asked left-handers. There were 90 left-handed children gathered together in one class. They said, we often face this in the classroom when the left-handed child is sitting on the right side of the bench and the right-handed child is sitting on the left side of the brain. Their elbows often clash. Same happens on a dining table. Same happens in a restaurant. So the only thing you can do is switch your positions. That's the simplest thing you can do. And I request all teachers to find out if this thing is happening in your classrooms so that you help both the children. What happens is most of the times only the left-handed child gets the scolding. They think that the left-handed child is creating the nuisance, the problem by bothering the right-handed child by banging the elbow. They ask the left-handed child, this has happened with me, and I have met really hundreds of left-handers with whom this has happened, that the teacher only tells the left-handed child to shift and go to the corner of the bench. So the easier thing is to shift their positions. And I can come to that about the writing position of left-handers if somebody takes the question. Hope I have answered Mr. Amol's question. Amol has also, is the same question twice? Yeah, I think the same question twice. Okay.
In fact, this reminds me of one of the students that I had in class, and she had the same problem where they would clash. So then, as you said, I shifted her to this thing. But unfortunately, she was her bench was towards the wall, so the problem was there. So I had to shift her into the middle row where she gets a space to write. Yes,
Absolutely.
this is something which we miss. Even as this, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no,
please,
basically, if you think on the right side of the wall, if right-handers, and you have majority of right-handers, so most right-handers are sitting on the right side of the wall, they also face the same problem. So this is only some kind of a convenience that you should push the bench a little away from the wall and everybody is comfortable.
Yeah, but as you say, it's could be easier for a right-hander to accommodate as compared to a left-hander when it's towards the wall.
True.
And
that is also, yeah, please go ahead.
And also, I would want you to throw some more light onto how can teachers accommodate such students in class. As you very well said that the scissors, sharpeners, and there are hundreds of other things which child does in activities. What are the tips that you could give to teachers who can, adopt them in the classroom so that everybody is at ease and nobody is singled out?
Yes. Now we have to, classify the classrooms from pre-primary, primary, then middle school, secondary, higher secondary, and all those things. Secondary, higher secondary, I won't talk about because they are grown-ups. They can definitely, the students can manage their life a little better than the lower classes. So the help that is most needed is into the pre-primary and the primary schools. Not that the elderly don't need especially the vocational courses, the professional courses like medicine, dentistry, and so many other things, engineering especially, they also need help. So, but that is a vast topic, and this scope of today's lecture may not cover that. So I will focus more mainly on the school education, that to the lower school. The teachers should first identify how many left-handers are there in the class. How to do that? First and foremost, see the writing. But if you are into pre-primary, you may not see the children or the child writing with the left hand. So see which hand the child is using for eating, maybe the midday meal or something, or snack. Another thing, while playing, while putting some toys together and all, which hand comes forward. And if you think that the child is left-hander, try to see that the things around the child or the positioning, sitting positions is not uncomfortable to the child. So wherein the child needs to, kind of bring the left hand and the elbow very close to the body and do the functioning or the working. Let the child be free. Like you said, the bench is where the problem starts. Secondly, writing. If I may now include the writing, because writing is the biggest thing that we do in schools, right? Words, we all deal with words. Right now also, we are communicating through words. Even though I'm moving my hands so vigorously, the majority of my message is going through my mouth, through the words. Hands only support what I'm saying, right? I'm deliberately doing that because this is a non-verbal communication and words is a verbal communication. So what I'm trying to say is, the writing languages majority, as I mentioned earlier, go from left to right. And a right-hander can easily write like this, and when on the bench or a table, when the paper is kept for a right-hander, the tilt of the paper, if I'm showing for the right-hander, see, the tilt is like this. Consider this is as a paper, because otherwise I will just pick up a paper, but this will be too big. That's why I'm not. Suppose this is a paper kept on a table. Now I cannot show it, but I can of course show it. Let me see if I can. Yes, this, can you see this? Can everybody see this?
Yes, yes, we can.
See,
We can.
this is the angle at which a right-hander writes. And this angle that it makes with the table is not very great. So the tilt of the paper is a little bit on the right side for the right-hander. But because they write like this from here and they go open their arm and write it. But when a left-hander writes, the tilt is far greater. I don't know whether I'm able to show it. This tilt, and the paper is
It is
almost
visible.
like,
It is visible.
yeah, it is almost like, horizontal to the bench. And the left-hander starts away from the body and brings the hand close to the body slowly. So this is a problem. Teachers think that this left-hander is spreading like the whole class is his or his father's. And they try to tell, no, sit straight, bring the paper straight. And they often tell them to bring the notebook or the paper closer to their body, similar to the right-handers. And then the left-handers find it very difficult to write. Their handwriting gets disturbed, it gets smudged. So what I'm trying to tell you is, let the left-hander keep the paper or the notebook a little away from the body and little the tilted angle more than the right-handers, because that is natural to them. If you don't allow that to them, they will start using a hooked hand. I don't know whether you have seen a hooked hand like that. They write it like this, and that is very painful to the wrist and other things. So let them write, especially in exams. And I have faced this several times. A left-hander writes in a tilted kind of an answer sheet, and the supervisor or the teacher thinks he's trying to show the answers to the neighboring student. That is not the case. They need that kind of a space. So that is the simplest thing that you can do, for a left-hander. Now we go to the laboratory. Laboratory is a place definitely very, very hazardous for left-handers, because almost all gadgets, all equipment, all appliances, everything is designed exclusively for right-handers. And that's where they can face or meet with accidents, small or big accidents. They can go wrong in what they're doing. They can take more time to do those things, and they will end up either losing marks in examinations or not completing the task in time and getting the scolding again. So basically, left-handers, because the world is designed for right-handers, are often termed as clumsy, often termed as not focused, often termed as not having good finger or manual skills, and they get scoldings, they lose marks, and they try to always fight against all those things, which takes a lot of energy. So teachers need to understand if a left-hander is working on a laboratory table to see if things are not very adverse to him or her, and try to help them in one way or the other, especially the measuring cylinders, the vernier calipers, the micrometer screw gauges. In upper classes like engineering and all, there is a drafter or a mini drafter, which is very difficult. Then if you go to the dentistry college, there is the dentistry chair, which is exclusively designed for right-handers, and a left-hander cannot do that. If you go to a medical college, the clinical examination table and the surgical table are all designed for a right-handed use. Anybody who goes to a doctor can observe that when they ask you to lie down on a table with a pillow and they examine you, the doctor is almost always standing on your right side, because majority doctors are right-handed, and it is easier for them to examine your body, to look into your eyes and your tongue and all those things. A left-hander doing that is at very difficulty, because with left hand he cannot do much. So that is how teachers at every stage need to understand and observe and help left-handed students. There's a lot more about it, but I think we can discuss it later. Thank you. Yeah.
Indeed, that is quite a bit of, I think you have given a great level of insight, and as teachers, we know how we can accommodate more and more from the relevant examples that you just gave us. So thank you so much for that. And now we have the next question, which is do left-handed people face difficulties changing gears in a car in countries with left-hand drive that drive on the right-hand side of the road?
See, there are two things, yes and no. I have driven a left-hand drive car myself. I regularly drive a right-hand drive car. So yes, right-handers driving a right-hand drive car always have a left side gears, and they find it difficult. So equally, left-handers find the gears on the right side difficult, but it is with practice that you can pick up that action, because you're not constantly changing the gears. It is only when you want to change the speed, you need to change the gear. And now, of course, you are getting auto transmission cars more and more, so that problem will be solved for the hand. So now there are two aspects about vehicles. About car, I will finish. The foot, majority of left-handers have a left foot stronger, and almost majority of right-handers have their right foot stronger. So now the auto transmission cars and also geared cars had the brake and the accelerator in the right foot. So the right foot has more work in both cars, right-hand drive cars as well as left-hand drive cars. So right foot is always busy, and the left foot is very less busy, rather only when you want to change the gear and push the clutch in the geared car. And in auto transmission car, left foot has absolutely no work. So what happens is, it gives a lot of unnecessary stress on the left foot and the leg of a left-hander. So that is the issue with the cars, not with the gear. And now I'm coming to the two-wheelers, the bikes. The accelerator of every bike is in the right hand. And if you're going on a long drive, you have to constantly, pull or turn the accelerator. And that brings a lot of strain on the hand and the muscles. And you can get sprain and issues like that for left-handers, because right-handers are comfortable doing that. So for left-handers, turning the accelerator for longer times is very, very difficult, and that should be taken care of, because otherwise your hand can go numb, your hand can have pain, and maybe develop certain lifelong traumas or spasms in your hand. So that is one thing about scooters and motorcycles.
Okay, I think that so well answers all the queries that they have put up in the question, including
Thank
the
you.
car and the bike. Thank you so much for that. And I have a question here by Mr. Amol. My son is a left-hander, but he says that while arm wrestling, I use my right hand, but for writing or playing cricket, I'm comfortable with the left hand. How to justify the same?
There are many more questions above also. I think Hitesh has asked a question. Vidyadan, no, who has asked?
Yeah, we will go to the questions one by
Okay.
one.
Now
but
we'll take
in
Amol's
case of
question.
this,
My son is a
yes,
left-hander, but he says that while arm wrestling, I use my
I
right
use
hand,
my
but
right.
for writing of playing cricket, I'm comfortable with the left hand. How do we justify the same? As I said, handedness is a spectrum. Handedness is not just left or right-handedness. So every person, like I'll give an example of Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar bowls right-handed, bats right-sided. I do not call batting as right-handed or left-handed batting. I want to call it as right-sided batting or left-sided because we're using both the hands for batting. So he is right-sided batter and he's a right-handed bowler and he throws with right hand, but he writes with the left hand, he draws with the left hand. So if you leave a child on its own, and I believe Sachin's parents and brothers or elders left him on his own to choose whatever he wants to do with whatever. So that happens with everybody. So I believe Amol's son also has that kind of a capability of using both the hands. Some people try, while using the hammer, the left-handers are comfortable using it with the right hand. Some people striking a matchbox, comfortable using with the right hand. So that is how the activities are divided if you try to work with both your hands. So there's nothing wrong or nothing unjustifiable about that. It can happen to anybody.
I think unjustified. We don't need to judge or justify. That's very
Yeah.
nice. And the other question that's come up is how can we reach the policy makers for what we want to do for the left-handers? For example, handedness column on the admission form of food so that it makes easy for sports and seating arrangements.
Very, very important question. And for last 32 years, we as the association have been trying to reach policymakers, people with influence, people with some kind of a say. So there are two ways of doing it. First is coming together in greater numbers. Left-handers need to be together. There was a time when left-handers were called as world's largest unorganized minority. When I first heard that word unorganized really pinched me like very hard. Why are we unorganized? And that's how one of the reasons why Association of Left-handers was started. So we need to be organized. We need to come together. We need to stay together and we need to work together. That's where we will kind of gain strength in numbers and we can put our number and our says forward. So where it begins in schools. So we need to identify left-handed teachers. Those teachers will, I'm very sorry to say, I mean, ma'am, you are a right-hander and maybe there are other right-handers, but right-handers even today are not very much interested, inclined, or think it important, the issue of left-handedness. So we need to identify left-handers in schools. We need to, kind of encourage them to identify left-handers in the school, make groups, find out what difficulties are there, find the numbers, create a kind of a lobby, kind of a club group, and then we come together, write a charter. We have recently done that. From 7th of August to 11th of August, we had an international conference ongoing in Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, England, USA, Australia, and many other Indonesian, many other people had joined in. So we have formed a charter which we want to present to higher authorities like UN and all. So what we should do also is create that kind of a charter and present it to people. Another thing is identify politicians who are left-handers or identify politicians whose children are left-handers. Identify celebrities like film stars, sportsmen who are left-handers. Try to meet them. Try to get a statement from them. Try to create a kind of a reel, whatever, Facebook reel and YouTube shorts and all. Project it. Use social media and create a big buzz about left-handedness. And that's how we will try and reach the policymakers, and we will try to make changes in examination system, in school system, in all kind of discomforts that left-handers face. Thank you.
So that's a wonderful thing. But I also felt that as you spoke, I felt at school level, we always have a lot of committees made up. So
Yes.
it would be, somebody who's after hearing this kind of a interaction, I'm sure it would, as an educator, it has affected me and impacted me a lot. And I would definitely want to do something about it. It is a very simple and easy solution at school level. What I see is we could have clubs where the left-handers come together, as you said, discuss about the challenges that they pose, and it's the right-handers who would find the solutions for the same. So what we are doing here is first, bringing peace to the challenges, really bringing in a lot of empathy between the children, and then there is what you call an inclusive approach where everyone understands each other, nobody is looked down upon, nobody is bullied about. At the same time, it enriches everybody who works on the project emotionally also.
Yeah, very good point you raised. The new education policy has great emphasis on equality, equal opportunity, and inclusiveness. Left-handedness falls in that category, and every parent, every teacher needs to exploit that provision in the policy and make use of it and form these clubs that you have suggested, committees for left-handers. The only thing is, people or the parents think that we are labeling their child with some kind of an abnormality, and they don't want the child to be labeled as a left-hander. And that's why they don't bring, or that they don't allow the child to go into that club. So please understand that left-handedness is not an abnormality, not a handicap. It is just a difference. We are normal, but with a difference. That should be emphasized.
And
I think Lina
absolutely.
Bokil is raising her hand. She wants to say something. Yeah, please.
Hello, am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes.
Happy International Left-handers Day,
Yeah, thank you. And all of you.
everyone. Yes, and at the outset, I would like to share with you all that yes, I've known Bipin Kaukule for over 2 decades. I'm sure there's nobody else in the world that I know who works so much with great passion for left-handedness, for left-handers, for the benefits, and it's a social and noble cause. And like he rightly said, only we, the left-handed fraternity, understand each other's plight and problems or challenges, we'll call them. Yes, I would like to share this experience. Like as a child in chemistry lab, in the laboratory, I was a bit scared because everything was kept at the right side. And first of all, they don't give you a matchbox in the hand immediately. And so I would ask someone else to do that. And of course, when back then in our childhood, science experiments were conducted mostly by teachers, and we were just watching and witnessing that. Today, we make the children do it yourself, DIY. And for that reason, by the way, we have recently started Sir C.V. Raman Science Research and Development Center for school level children for science exploration, experimentation, and this cause. And I'm going to put emphasis on this fact that the left-handed children will, find the environment ecosystem in the labs, in the laboratory, very friendly, user-friendly, or left-handed friendly. So all inclusive things. The challenges that I faced as a child, or even during my engineering days, and what Vipin said, doing drawings and the mini drafter and all. Let me say, drawing is the language of engineers. And the tools, the gadgets, they are everything at our disposal. But I had difficulty doing that. I was so good at theoretical. I thought I should have become a theoretical physicist. Why am I into engineering? But yes, it was my cup of tea. And after all the initial hurdles, I managed, because workshop also all left-handed tools, gadgets, and I would damage the jobs. And I thought I'm going to fail at this rate. So this was the plight, because it's not the problem with my capability. But because of my left-handedness, and that should not be a handicap. So I overcame that, and in spite of all odds, and then I started scoring well in laboratory also. So, like we always say, the equipment we should come up with left-handed tools, gadgets in the laboratory, machine tools, and like Vipin has been also, emphasizing on this fact that at school level and college level, and then also the engineering equipment, even in the machine tools, the assembly floor in industry as well, that should cater to the problems that we or the challenges that we left-handers face, the workers, the technicians, because I had an initial phobia because of this fact, but I'm sure because I, overcame this. Today, I'm an engineer and into science technology field, but we don't want the children and then the youngsters to face the same problem. So, within, yes.
Yeah, no, thank you. And wonderful experience. Thanks, Lena, for sharing that. But only engineers and designers like you can, left-handers especially, or parents of left-handed children, can suggest the manufacturers to create gadgets, appliances, and environment suitable and conducive to left-handers. So if you could, simple thing, that measuring cylinder right now, I don't have it, I've kept it somewhere inside, that it has a beak on one side. They can very well, make a beak on another side, or a simple teapot we have at home with a handle has a beak on one side. Why can't you make a beak on the other side as well? It doesn't cost so much, so that it is useful for both left hand, right handers, kitchen appliances, so many things. And simple thing, if you could suggest, and that would make more sales, people would start gifting such items to left handers. So manufacturers also should think on those lines. And very good points you have brought out, Lena. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think I missed this segment because I had a little bit of an issue with my network. But I will definitely look into the recording and get back to that. Yes, sir. One thing that is coming to my mind is that we are talking about our brain getting developed differently or whatever. Is there any easy way where a person can bring to use both his hands to most optimal level gradually, so that along with the effectiveness of the working of the hands, our brains also develop? Is there anything like an exercise or some sort of a thing that we could do probably, so that I am able to use my left hand more effectively and develop my right brain more efficiently?
See, I have been reading and observing and watching videos on this topic. This aspect doesn't limit to hands. It goes to the brains. There is in management and all those things, there is a mid-brain, thinking theory and all, because most managers are left brain dominant things, and they think in a very logical and very sequential things, and they need to think a little bit on a intuitive side and bring out ideas out of the box. What we call out of the box, scientists say that it comes from the right brain. So out of the box, anything that you need comes from the right side. But for that, they have many exercises to train your brain to think out of the box, train your brain to think right-brained. Now coming back to the hands. If you want to practice the hands, nobody has stopped you to practice doing anything with any hand. There are people, as we know, far greatly challenged than we, people who don't have hands. They use their foot and legs to do their activities. So practicing makes you perfect. Practicing can train you to do anything. People draw keeping the pen in their mouth, and they draw such wonderfully. And they can do anything with any, people have kept pencil in their nostrils and drawn wonderful pictures. So what I'm saying, we can train ourselves. So using both the hands is not a big deal, but you need to have that inclination. You need to have that kind of a liking to do certain things. And yes, up to a certain extent, you can use your non-dominant hand to do certain activities, but that should happen only out of your own personal will, wish, want, need, and desire to do something. It is not like compelling. Many schools I have seen and I have read about, they compel all the children to write with both the hands, to do things with both the hands. That way children don't develop certain activities. They are not comfortable. They are not happy. So don't force. Let it happen willfully. That is one more important thing. And basically, use of hands is both God or whoever nature has given both the hands to us. You can use them as you want. So you can practice it and develop it as you want. So at any age, of course, people who lose their hand or one hand is paralyzed or cut or lost in accident, definitely practice using the other hand and get the skills. So anything is possible with our body and brain. You should only do it positively, not negative.
Since
Yeah.
I was off the meeting, is there any chat that is left out, sir, Prashant sir, that we could, address the question? Because my chat has all got deleted since I went off this thing. There is no more question which is there. And I think we are also,
Hitesh, you had one question, I think. Did we take it?
we took it. That we took.
Okay.
He was talking
Okay.
about the policy kind of a thing.
No.
That was the
Prashant is saying no, nothing is left. So
Yes.
anybody else? There were other Mr. Pavitran, Mr. Raghurama, and whoever else. Do you have any
Leena
question?
ma'am wants to ask a question. So
Okay,
yes, Leena
Leena.
ma'am, we have a moment, just a minute to go before
Yeah.
we close the meeting. So please, can we have the quick question?
This is not a question. To answer your question, this is what I do. I'm a natural left-hander, but from the morning to evening, doing so many activities, I make it a point to like hold the cup in right hand because it's my natural hand to use with left. But otherwise, what I do is I do some activities in the day with right hand as far as possible. That don't need any dexterity or expertise.
Yeah.
So then that I'm sure develops the left brain.
Correct. Can I just cut you in and just say a few things for right-handers? See,
Yes.
left-handers like Leena always use their right hand for something or the other all their lives. I would request and I would kind of suggest all the right-handers watching this video to start using their left hand more for any damn thing, simple thing like lifting a cup, lifting a bag, opening a door. Deliberately use your left hand for simple, less skilled or unskilled tasks. Later on, you can use it for skilled tasks as well. And you will find there's a lot of energy saved and a lot of energy gained. And you will find a lot of small issues about your health, like simple migraines or headaches or simple sneezing and colds vanish in a course of time, maybe 6 months if you continue doing that. Males, I would suggest, if you are shaving right-handers, use your brush with your left hand and maybe blade with your right hand razor. And that's how you can share activities, between the hands, and you will gain a lot of energy in your life.
Yes, as Bipin rightly put it, we left-handers already use right hand for some of the other activities. And also the machines and the equipment and the laptop, the mouse, it's already at the right side. So we are used to using both hands that way, but predominantly left hand. So I think we are using the left brain, right brain, maybe right brain more dominantly, but left brain as well. So therefore we have a broad spectrum of creativity and activities, right, that we can adapt to. So
Yes.
This is what I've always done, adaptability, adjustment in life.
So my last request to everybody is, see, in India, we use both the hands for namaskar, not like salute or shake hand, only one hand. So we have equality in our culture for both the hands. Let's bring it in our lives. And please, do not force or compel any child, left or right-hander, to do any particular thing with any particular hand, including toilet cleaning and all those things. Let the child use any hand he or she wants for any purpose. Just teach them to keep the hands clean. Absolutely. For puja, prasad, eating, cooking, kitchen things, any damn thing, both hands are equal, both hands are clean. That's
That was a wonderful closing statement, sir. Thank you so much for being here. I think this has been a really enriching session for all of us. And I think every segment of the society has something to take away from today's session. Thank you so much for all the insight. Thank you, Leena ma'am. Thank you, sir, so much. And thank you, Vidyadan, for giving us this opportunity.
Yes, thanks.
It has been a learning experience for all of us. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure
Absolutely,
having
it was a great pleasure, and I'm myself going to watch this video again to know what I have spoken. So this
It
very
was
interesting
wonderful.
topic. Yeah,
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
That is-
Bye bye, all of you.
Thank you.
And a very
Thank you.
happy International Left-handers Day to all.
Wish you the same.